Hello again. And last time I left things in a bit of a crisis, and they're still in rather of a crisis. And this is has actually been caused by me failing to pay attention to something that I talked about a lot early on, and then allowed to kind of sneak up on me, which is these infrastructure costs. So infrastructure costs are non-linear. The more infrastructure you build, the more it costs. Not just twice as much. So if I build twice as much infrastructure, it doesn't cost just twice as much. It costs more than twice as much. And that keeps on scaling badly. And I've been rather foolish with this game because I've been running a lot of non-profitable services, a lot of subsidized services. And it's got to a point where things like the Clanfair Brimeworks line, which are not making much money, actually aren't covering their costs. They're covering the costs of the trains, but they're not covering the costs of the track. So this, I am going to just downgrade to horses. This is effectively the very, very expensive trains. They're not making enough money to cover their line. In fact, looking at these, they're 2,200, but this is a lot of money tied up in this line. And this isn't correct. So we need to start, how do we climb out of this problem? Because if we sit here the way that we've been running, we will just end up in this situation where we're just trying to keep pace with the whole horses we need to replace. We're never going to expand our network. We're never really going to develop it. So we need to do some smarter things. So I don't want to get rid of the lines that I'm kind of subsidizing, because I do want to build those into something more later. And I think they're good to have. But this really, as a company, this is kind of just bumping along on the stops. You can see like the AI, which has been doing road transport, is actually kind of catching us up. This sort of further Aviator, all further Aviator does is just moves things along a road network, very low cost, very slow, but obviously it doesn't matter that they're slow. They're transporting tech level 1 cargoes, which don't really tail off in value that much. So it's not really a problem there. So let's get these horses all set up. So let's move this rather than losing the money of the wagons we already built. So we're just going to pop that there. No, this is just going to be some interchangeable horse, and it was built in 1838. So, it's just going to be interchangeable horse. See, even when I try to cheat, and I try to say, well, I'm just going to clone this horse and it's going to have the same name no matter what. Even when I try to cheat, it doesn't work out. Horse naming is just a terrible idea. And the minor boost in organization that you get, that means you could do just by sorting the vehicles by age, is not worth it. So there we go. We've learned something. What do these carry? These carry. Tell me. These carry salt. Salt. Yes. Okay. Right. Let's pop that in there. No, you're just going to reach down there, and then you're going to have to give up with it, aren't you? Foolish horses. Not interchangeable. These are actively foolish. There we go. They can be first on the block when the revolution comes, or at least first into the depot when they... Oh, hang on. What the hell's going on there? That's why that happened. Okay. Oh, because I built the horses and I gave them the wagons, but I never actually gave them the orders. That was stupid, wasn't it? Okay, so hopefully these are shared orders. If they're not shared orders, it's going to be all rather a disaster. So, yes, they're shared orders. Good. Good. At least I was that smart. So this train's going to come back. And yes, I've spent a lot of money on horses, so there's not that much going on. But let's get that train back. Let's see. So the planet's still worth about 12 grand. So that's good. So we are now hopefully, Yeah, profits are coming back. They're not getting to the great levels that they were. But you see, these railways, early railways are quite high risk. They're quite expensive. They have incur quite high maintenance costs. And really, as you can see, if you start building them up and you're not making enough profit from the new ones to cover that cost, then that becomes very, very problematic. So let's let those horses bed in, because that's going to give us a little bit of extra working capital. And I'm going to go over, and I should have paid attention to my own advice rather than trying to find some sort of cartoon villain whose villainy was based on chopping down trees and not putting things in bins, very pointedly littering them all over the floor. Rather than doing that, I should have been paying heed to my own advice and going, oh, look, this is a low-value cargo. We should use horses, just like the lesson we learned over there about horses, where they were better at going up the hill. So, no, this time, Clanfair Woods to Newark Colliery is a high profit margin good. This is the engineering supplies. So, for anyone who's just stumbled across this and not watched the previous videos where I've clicked on this graph a lot, my God, do you have any idea? How do you have any idea what's going on with this nonsense? This is one of the cargoes that will benefit from being delivered quicker. And I now also realised I solved a problem, which was I did accept the patentee prototype, and now the manufacturer's very, very upset because I didn't build any. Stevenson is going to go, come on, I gave you the steam Corolla. I followed it up with, what followed up? Followed it up with the steam Carina, and now I give you the steam Avensis, the patentee, and then you just don't build it. For what? I come up with these reliable locomotives, a bit lacking in tractive effort, but and you didn't build any. That's it. No prototypes for you. So there probably is a prototype locomotive coming up that I'm going to miss out on because I didn't build it. But yes, the patentee is a railway locomotive. If we convert this to railway, I'm actually interested. Yes, and start converting this to railway, causing pain. Don't ask how these horses are treading on the ballast and how they still work. Two things will happen. Right. So one thing is that we will now have the railway. We can now build patentees and send them off. But also, the railway cost is quite low for 81 pieces. Whereas, as we are now building, you can see that's going up. So 1788, 23196. And it goes up. So, and then we have, so that has gone down by, the plate weight cost has gone down by, about £24. 1788, that only went up by £12. So the way that infrastructure costs work, you actually pay per type of infrastructure. So if your infrastructure is more varied, it's cheaper. So what we now have is railway is more expensive per tile, but because we've not got as much of it, the value is actually pretty decent. So this means that we actually are finding that we're probably spending a little less overall in infrastructure costs, despite having better infrastructure. But anyway, let's not dwell too much on that. Let's get our patentee out, which is again still fairly low tractive effort, but starting to get a bit faster. So let's start by cloning this, which is 3 horses and 3 flat wagons. Let's get rid of this, and then let's very quickly build a patentee. And this should be able to cope with a few more flat wagons. So engineering supplies. Let's do that. Let's now start sending these horses back to the depot. So there's rather a lot of them. They were born fairly recently, so hopefully we shall get a bit of money back for those. But I'm going to set that patentee going. There we go. Off patentee goes. Not really a freight locomotive, by the way. these early locomotives is not. I'm not sure really how much you can kind of define between the different types. Haha, it's my interleaved horse. So I'm not sure how much you can really differentiate between the types this early on. They're just locomotives. But this sort of 2-2-2 layout is quite low tractive effort, not really effective. So hopefully as this game progresses, we'll start getting some more specialized freight locomotives. But anyway, let's let this build up. Let's see how it performs. Is the tractive effort going to be too low? Is it just going to do some sort of huge rail constrained burnout with its single driving axle with all of these little steam engines, or is it actually going to get some quite effective acceleration? Let's see. Come on. 4, 6, 8, 9. Well, it's going faster than the horses. Well, take that, as they say. What was supposed to be a sort of a relevant cultural reference of I'll take that actually turned into a very, very non-relevant reference to the 90s boy band. Gosh. Never. It's one of those things. I'm probably going to potentially insult like quite a large proportion of my audience, but again, that was one of those things of the 90s that I really did not enjoy. Very much more. I think in the early 90s when they came out, I was quite young, and I think I was very much sort of a classic rock type. That music had to mature. It's like an old port, it had to be kind of sat in a cupboard and aged for 20 years before you could really enjoy it. But then, of course, the wonders that were the Britpop happened, and that probably is rather giving away my era and age here. But that then definitely, yes, listening to sort of pulp was far preferable to listening to take that and their sort of slightly overproduced sort of veneery pop. Not sure that music criticism has really used that before. It's veneery. It's like a little layer that you just stick on something, like a layer that you just stick on your life. Little bit of boy band popular music. God, that's just this is where we kind of just want to say, right, there's a tree of conversation. You've kind of reached a leaf of it where you've sort of gone climbing down a branch, and you've sort of, this looks like a promising branch. We can discuss 90s musical mores and things which probably nobody will actually understand, because most people have just happily wiped it from memory and just don't have better things to keep on their mind. But you've gone down this branch and now it started creaking and swaying ominously, and you're starting thinking, well, I'm all the way down here and I'm not really sure I can get back, and it still looks uncomfortably high off the ground, and I've got no way to land this conversation, no way to go anywhere. Not even, I don't even have a co-host who can just snap me out of it and say, stop going there, that's just dumb, nobody wants to hear about the days of Britpop. There's a very good reason we don't listen to it anymore. Well, I do. I will still get out a Suede album and think that'll be enjoyable. Oh dear, we have money problems again. Is this just what has cost us so much? Why is our operating profit so bad? Our operating profit's not bad. I think it's just this sort of spikiness of yes. Yeah. Oh yes. Now look at that. Look at that. You tell the genuine excitement at this green profit line that I have. This is because this is reaching the heady speeds of 25 miles per hour, even with these on the back. This is now starting to bring in some serious moolah. That as it gets to because you are going to the depot. I will force you to the depot. And they're not even at their potential yet, because they're being held up by these horses, sort of trying to pick their way amongst the sleepers and the ballast without breaking an ankle. But these trains now, because they're going much faster, they are up at the sweet spot of that graph where we are carrying these crates. We're carrying a lot of crates, a decently long way, and we're not taking too much time over it. We look at the time to this pastel pit, the name of the horses has carried forward to the train. Oh, we have to do something with this. This is rather marvelous. Yeah, this is just. But all this is turning into is me just sitting in my lair of transport, what you sort of call the back bedroom, and just becoming incredibly pleased with my game of OpenTTD. Dear, right? No more euphoria. Right? Sensible, and calm and collected, and no silly diversions, no nothing. No, stop. You need to make a sensible point about the game. People need to learn things. Actually need to. This I will inflict learning upon the world. So, because we are making things travel a long distance with these trains, we're doing it at higher speed. They are obviously made, and they are right up at the sweet spot of the graph. Look at that, sort of 48 days. Let's go back to the cargo payment rates here. 48 days. We're up here. We're up in this nice spot. We're making lots of money. Suddenly we're actually making a lot of money per trip. And these are worth these are worth, what am I saying? These are worth the investment. The investment in the tracks, the investment in this. And this could be the point. If we could get more of these sort of high-tech level cargoes, if we could start linking up the network and sort of transporting the bulk cargoes with horses where it's cheap, but start actually kind of taking up our industry, start building some of these chains, then we can actually really take a massive leap towards profitability. If we get a few more of these sort of tech level free cargoes, and all, I think this would actually service another train as well. So let's do that. So let's take. They're not going to be Pastel Pete 2. Let's just get rid of the name. This is going to be just Train 12. Names are silly. Names are gone. We don't know our trains. They are faceless automatons. And I'm sure there are lots of kind of steam train enthusiasts who would despair at be calling their beloved locomotives just faceless, but they are compared to the horses, which have actual faces. They are. There we go. So this is going to be our salvation. I'm pinning a lot of hopes on this railway. That it is going to be our return to profitability. Let's have a look at that profit graph. It's been a while since we last counted. Since this should update shortly. Let's see how that's gone. And hopefully this will be the kind of the engine that allows us to keep growing. Oh yes. You see this ticking back up now. This is looking far healthier. So this is good. This is very good. Let's see. So we should see. So this Sharp Street was a bit of a disappointment because we couldn't take there were no onward industries that we could take class to. The body plant obviously must be kind of something that doesn't get invented until the later on, sort of maybe around tea time, it would be invented. This chloralkali plant, which requires salt, actually does have some onward cargoes. So it has quite a few. And in fact, sodium hydroxide. This can go back to the wharf, and this is rather a thrilling development. So the payment is one thing. So sodium hydroxide. So sodium hydroxide is worth a little more. It's a tech level 2 cargo. It's not that much more valuable, but it gives us a little bit more leeway in terms of, and it doesn't drop off too much. So hopefully horses might be fine. But the really exciting part, the part which has got me going, ooh, is that this can actually go to the wharf. So to go back to that, see the wharf. Sodium hydroxide is a cargo the wharf will take. Now what that means is if we go back to here, the Clambo Woods, and we see this. If we start delivering lots and lots and lots of sodium hydroxide and other things that this requires, the way that FIRS works is that you will start seeing more production. We will start seeing more engineering supplies, which will start meaning more profits. So this gives us an obvious next step, which is to take the output of the brine works, and that output we should bring it to our wharf. And this will then hopefully start to be an actual network where we are using the outputs of one system as the inputs to another. And in fact, this would accept engineering supplies we could build. And it's, oh yes, you see, I didn't get off with the prototype because I didn't test a single patentee, and now they're annoyed. But Lion as well, Lion has a whole 9 Canadian attractive. That's worthwhile, isn't it? Maybe we could use that for our future plans. But for now, this sort of cargo here, it's a relatively low payment one, so it's going to be more horses, more plateway. But next episode, we're going to bring that over to the wharf, and we're going to start building out more of an integrated network. So I shall see you then.